I started working in tin a couple of years ago actually, because I was at uni, and I used to do this as summer work. So I used to come in, and obviously living around here, I've lived here for 10 years, so you hear the stories about the tin because we're quite a close village anyway. I didn't feel it as much then before because I didn't do as many late nights because I was a bit younger. But I've worked here now full time, about 14 months, locking up the pub and things like that. Working the bar, you talk to a lot of the locals, and they do tell you a lot of stories. One of the local grave diggers, Barry actually, who's in here every night, and if he's not in, we worry. He always tells me he remembers when he was here late one night with the previous owner, so it's a few years ago, and they were all sitting downstairs, and there used to be a really old-fashioned coat stand, one we've got in the corner, and it was on one side of the room, and they could hear this kind of dragging along the floor, and they all looked around at each other, and being a load of men, obviously they didn't really want to say they were scared or anything, so they're like, yeah, just noise or the wind. They heard it again, and they went up there, and it had been dragged completely across the floor, all the windows were closed, everything. There was a seance here, I think about a year and a half ago, and all sorts of things were happening right in the corner, because there's a corner upstairs that is meant to be like the worst for it. The people that I know that were there are not the kind of people to just say, oh, this is, you know, obviously when the letters moving around, they're not the kind of people to want to accept it. So for them to agree that something happened, then it's obviously that, you know, it's quite real then. When it used to be a house and they changed it into a pub, there was like a little wall, and there was some little baby shoes in there, and they took them out, and that was meant to be when all these things started to happen. There's just so many little stories about things moving and lights falling down, and my friend was here again when it was the old pub, and she was upstairs, and there's a big cabinet that we've got, and everything just like fell off, and everyone like really panicked. There's quite a lot of noise, like, because obviously it's an old house, you can really hear the floor, but things get moved. And also in the morning when you're clearing up the tables, there's salt all over the table, and you've cleared it up the night before, but it's there again in the morning, and we kind of wipe up again, but you know you've done it the night before. There's been chairs moving and stands moving and things being dragged and moved around, but we kind of all just kind of turn up in the morning and just be like, yeah, it's fine, we won't really talk about it, and we'll just kind of put things back to where they go. We had a photographer that was interested, heard the stories, a lot of people have, you know, again, Aber's a small place, and he just started taking photos, and again, the baby shoes were in that corner where the photo was taken, and there was just a lady just having her food, and he was just taking little photos he could get, and he had them developed, and he hadn't even aimed to have that there, but he developed it, and then the picture of the old lady came up then. So, yeah.
And has anybody got any idea who the ghost might be?
I'm not sure. There's lots of different people have got lots of different ideas. Obviously it's quite old, so obviously people have come in and out and died and been born here, but I haven't heard anyone put a name to it. I think it's a lady ghost anyway, because of the little girl shoes, and you get that feeling, don't you? It sounds silly, but yeah, like I said, I lock up on my own a lot, and you get that feeling, you know, when somebody's standing looking at you in a doorway and you haven't noticed they're there, but you're aware that there's someone close and they're kind of looking at you. You get that feeling a lot, like you're on your own, but you kind of feel like there's something around. And I mean, we all say goodnight to the ghosts, it's like one of the things everyone does, and sometimes you hear tapping and all sorts, and it's not really a scary thing. Obviously if you're on your own, it's dark and it's raining outside, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's quite a comfortable thing, and it's something I suppose you just get accustomed to, so.